Quigley Down Under is a 1990 Western starring Tom Selleck, Alan Rickman, Laura San Giacomo, and some guy who I thought was a young Jason Isaacs, but turns out it wasn't. It's the late 1800s, I think. It never says, so I'm just going by the clothes and the weapons. Anyway, Matthew Quigley, a sharpshooter from America, has answered an ad from Elliot Marston, a British rancher in Australia, looking for a man with Quigley's particular set of skills to hunt dingoes on his property. Quigley arrives at Marston's ranch, demonstrates his impressive skill with his rifle, and begins to question Marston as to why he's paying so much money just to have somebody shoot a bunch of wild dogs. When Marston reveals to Quigley the true reason as to why he's hired him, Quigley violently declines the offer, incurring Marston's wrath and touching off a bloody manhunt and showdown. Now, right off the bat, I'm gonna say that Quigley Down Under is great, but it really threw me for a loop. See, first off, I knew nothing about this movie prior to watching it, and just the title of the movie, Quigley Down Under, had me picturing the kind of wacky fish out of water scenario that you saw so often around this time. And for the first 15 minutes or so, it looked like it was going to be a wacky, lighthearted action comedy romp. When we first meet Quigley, he's hitting guys in the nuts with his rifle stock. Then there's this fairly playful row with some of the local ruffians over their mistreatment of a lady. The lady in question, known to these fellows as Crazy Cora, certainly does seem to have a few screws loose, and in trying to help Quigley during the fight, winds up doing more harm than good. Seems like a good start to a comedy so far. And even the trailer doesn't do anything to dissuade you from thinking this is a comedy. No, it actually reinforces it. See, while I was gathering clips for this review after I had already watched the movie, I watched the trailer for the first time, and it's one of the worst trailers I've ever seen. I can't remember if I've ever seen a trailer misrepresent a movie so completely. I'd go so far as to say that it's a trailer for a totally different movie. Now, on one hand, I can kind of admire how someone can take specific scenes from a serious movie, edit them together, and then make that movie look like a comedy, or make a comedy look like a more serious movie. People on YouTube do that all the time, and the best ones are pretty freaking awesome. On the other hand, this is how this movie was actually marketed.
All Matthew Quigley did was answer a help wanted ad. But a few surprises were waiting for Quigley Down Under. There was no mention of his friendly co-workers.
Is everybody in this country as butt ugly as you three?
Nor that he'd get an assistant.
Look out, Roy! Sorry, Roy!
Worst of all, his employer turned out to be somewhat moody.
You could call it that.
Now, I'm no lawyer, but I can damn near imagine someone actually winning a false advertising lawsuit over this trailer. It's that bad. I mean, if I watched this trailer back in the day and went to see the comedy that was being advertised, I'd be thoroughly confused and maybe even a little pissed. Whoever's idea it was to cut the trailer this way should have been immediately fired and then hung from a bridge. But yeah, any notions that you might be watching a comedy do not last long, because it ain't too much later that the movie switches gears on you and turns much more serious and even a little dark. Not Cormac McCarthy dark, but while the movie still has its moments of levity throughout, a comedy this ain't. First off, the reason Marston wants to hire Quigley has nothing at all to do with killing some wild dogs. He wants someone to help him and his boys wipe out the local Aborigines. See, the natives have been messing with his livestock and his gang shot a few of them, but the natives wised up and now they know to stay out of rifle range, so Marston needs someone with longer ranged weaponry and the skill to use it. He doesn't want to just scare the Aborigines off, he wants to eradicate them. Nothing funny about that. Crazy Cora's also not what she seems, but I'm not gonna go into that too much cause it's a gut punch. The movie deals with racism, the darker aspects of colonialism, grief, and how much a person is willing to lay on the line to do the right thing, even if there's no reward and it winds up costing him everything. Kinda like my favorite movie, Seven Samurai. Tom Selleck, grower of one of the all-time most glorious mustaches, is great as Matthew Quigley. He cuts a dashing figure as the archetypal American cowboy. He's rugged, chivalrous, quick-minded, and a competent warrior. He may be a killer, but he's a human first. He's a knight, a protector. He's the type of man's man that's sorely missing from modern movies. I also like that Quigley has his own signature weapon, in this case, a modified Shiloh Sharp's rifle.
Legendary Sharp.
You know your weapons. It's a lever-action breech loader. Usual barrel length's 30 inches. This one has an extra 4. It's converted to use a special 45 caliber 110 grain metal cartridge with a 540 grain paper patch bullet. It's fitted with double set triggers and a vernier sight. It's marked up to 1,200 yards. This one shoots a mite further.
I love the signature weapon trope. A lot of iconic characters have their own. Han Solo has his DL-44 heavy blaster, Conan has his Atlantean sword, Dirty Harry Callahan has that .44 Magnum, and Quigley has his Sharp's rifle. Crazy Cora at first does come off as a goofball who's off her nut, but later becomes tragically sympathetic when her heartbreaking past is revealed. Laura San Giacomo handles Cora's frequent personality shifts really well, moving from bonkers to vulnerable to a protective mother and back again. She's the source of a lot of the movie's lighter moments, but she's also the source of some of its sadder parts. It's a credit to both San Giacomo and the writers that she's able to make you chuckle right after a scene where she makes your eyes water. But it's not the type of crap that modern hack writers pull so often when they think they're being clever, where something profound happens and then some moron goes, "Well, that just happened," and then the mood is just completely shattered. No, while Quigley Down Under does have its lighter moments, it's also not afraid to let the darker, sadder bits linger. Quigley's nemesis, Elliot Marston, is played with sneering nastiness by the late, great Alan Rickman. While Marston does have a few great scenes,
Quigley said to tell you he's coming for you. He'll get us all, I know he will.
Oh, shut up. Think I'll ever get to be as fast as you?
What, you mean if you practiced a lot?
Yeah.
No.
he mainly stays at his ranch compound giving orders to his men and doesn't have any interactions with Quigley beyond their initial meeting and the final showdown. So the antagonism between Quigley and Marston doesn't quite reach the level of some of the other great hero-villain pairings. But Marston himself is no slouch with the firearm. He's a quick draw and a crack shot with the pistol, so skill-wise he is a formidable opponent for Quigley. But he also has that most glaring of movie villain weaknesses, hubris. And that brings me to really the one and only nitpick I have with this movie. If I'm being honest, it's kind of a case of the bad guy being his own worst enemy, almost more so than the hero. Hubris is a harsh mistress. It's a concept that, in the hands of a good storyteller, can serve as a cautionary lesson about the dangers of flying too close to the sun, or it can be the one and only chink in a villain's armor that the hero can exploit to take him down. But if it's mishandled or misused, it winds up making the villain seem incompetent, and the hero's victory will feel unearned and hollow. Now, thankfully, this is a case of it falling more in between the two, rather than too far toward the negative. It's just that I can't not notice moments in a story where the bad guy has the good guy dead bang and doesn't just pull the damn trigger. Those moments just stand out. But honestly, thanks to Rickman's evil British charisma, it doesn't sink the movie for me. He's just too fun to watch, but a lesser actor might have tanked it. Maybe if I thought about it too hard, it would bother me, but I've seen far worse examples, and when a movie is this enjoyable, I'll forgive a few contrivances. Also, the movie's setting, Australia, fascinates me, as does the Aboriginal culture. It's a land that is similar in looks to the American West with its vast deserts and mesas and mountains, but feels completely alien. I love it. I've only seen one other Australian Western, The Proposition, and that movie is phenomenal. You should check that one out too. So there you go, Quigley Down Under. It surprised the hell out of me in a really good way. What I thought was going to be a fun action comedy turned out to be a pretty serious action drama. I'm not gonna say it's groundbreaking or revolutionary, but it doesn't have to be. It's well made, well acted, and damned entertaining for sure. It's got your action, drama, romance, and just the right amount of levity to keep things from going full dark without undercutting the gravity of what's going on. It's the story of a man, a real man, who, though he finds himself a stranger in a strange land, knows that some ideas like humanity, honor, and justice for the wicked are universal and universally needed. If you're looking for a good Western that is not a comedy, Quigley Down Under is absolutely recommended. Thank you, cowboys and cowgirls, for watching. Adios.